Humphrey Bogart, an enduring emblem of Hollywood, left an indelible mark with his profound roles, but his life was overshadowed by a tragic battle with a fatal disease. His passing in 1957 and the deep sorrow borne by his devoted wife, Lauren Bacall, etched a poignant saga in the annals of film. Join us in unraveling the story of devotion, stardom, and heartache that shaped this iconic pair. Humphrey Bogart's life came to an end on January 15, 1957. The Hollywood legend lost his battle with throat cancer at just 58 years old. His final chapter serves as a reminder of how swiftly illness can take its toll. The first signs appeared deceptively mild. Bogart experienced a nagging cough and felt a burning sensation in his throat whenever he drank orange juice. The symptoms seemed to point toward an inflamed esophagus. Medical tests later revealed a darker truth: his esophageal tissue contained malignant cells. The disease took a devastating toll on Bogart's health. His 57th year brought severe complications that left him unable to speak or eat. His body withered to 80 pounds. Doctors performed an intense 9.5-hour surgery to remove his cancerous esophagus, 2 lymph nodes, and a rib in March. The aggressive treatment proved futile. Bogart slipped into unconsciousness on January 14, 1957, and passed away the next day. His illness tested his relationship with Lauren Bacall profoundly. Their most heated argument erupted when she announced her pregnancy. Bogart feared a baby might take her away from him. This piece explores the complex narrative of Humphrey Bogart's final days and how his death affected those closest to him. Bogart's final days reveal his vulnerability. Christmas 1956 brought a stark reality: Humphrey Bogart was barely recognizable. The actor who once commanded the screen with strength and swagger now lay bedridden in his Holmby Hills home. Cancer had taken its toll on his legendary presence. Visitors to Bogart's bedside struggled to hide their distress. Katharine Hepburn, his co-star from The African Queen, couldn't mask her shock. "The first sight of him was a shock I'll never forget," she said. His body had shrunk to just 80 pounds, half his normal weight. His hollow cheeks, thin neck, and voice reduced to whispers painted a heartbreaking picture. His longtime friend and collaborator John Huston described seeing Bogie in his transparent nightshirt, his arms just sticks, his face a skull. Yet Bogart's wit never faded. He kept making jokes, often about himself, and refused to let his failing body strip away his dignity. Frank Sinatra's visit left him visibly shaken. Though he stayed composed at Bogart's bedside, he broke down in tears once he stepped into the hallway, devastated by his friend's transformation. The cancer spread to Bogart's spine and caused unbearable pain. His doctors suggested morphine, but he resisted at first. "I don't want to be a Hafed," he told his physicians, worried about staying mentally sharp. January 1957 saw his health decline rapidly. He lost his ability to eat or speak and communicated through written notes. The pain grew so intense that he accepted stronger morphine doses. The medication gave him some comfort but left him drifting between consciousness and sleep. His concern for others never wavered, even through his suffering. During conscious moments, he would tell Bacall he was sorry for being such a burden. He wouldn't let anyone discuss his prognosis around him and never openly admitted he was dying, choosing to show determination instead. Lauren Bacall showed incredible strength throughout this difficult time. At just 32, she took charge of her husband's medical care. She worked with doctors, gave medications, and kept their home running for their young children. "I was very strong then. I had to be. Bogie needed me," Bacall later said. She slept on a couch next to his bed and woke at every sound to help him. Each morning she put makeup on his face before visitors came, a small dignity she wanted him to keep. Bacall never shed tears in front of Bogart during those last weeks. "I never let him see me cry. I didn't want him to know how scared I was," she revealed years later. She stayed composed while changing bandages and helping with painful procedures that made him wince. The doctors marveled at Bacall's emotional strength. One noted that her calm presence comforted Bogart more than their medicines could. She created a normal environment at home and protected him from pity while showing how much he meant to their family. Mid-January 1957 signaled the end of Bogart's brave fight. His breathing became difficult and conscious moments grew rare. Bacall stayed right beside him, true to their wedding vows, "Till death do us part." Humphrey Bogart dies at home in 1957. Cancer claimed one of Hollywood's most iconic stars. as Humphrey Bogart's life ended on January 14, 1957. The actor who portrayed toughness on screen showed remarkable dignity and vulnerability during his final moments at his Holmby Hills home. His final conscious moments revealed a tender farewell to his wife. Lauren Bacall stepped out to pick up their children from school, and Bogart spoke his last words. "Goodbye, kid, hurry back." This heartfelt goodbye captured their special connection, as he used the endearing nickname Kid that defined their relationship from the start. Bacall returned soon after to find Bogart had drifted into a coma he would never wake from. Stephen and Leslie, Bogart's children, were just 8 and 4 years old as their father passed away. Their young age limited their grasp of the situation. This early loss shaped their lives deeply. Stephen later shared that he never really knew his celebrated father. He revealed in a later interview that Bogart had explained his choice to have children despite his age. "I wanted a child to stay with her and remind her of me," suggesting he had sensed his mortality. All Saints Episcopal Church in Beverly Hills hosted the services after Bogart's death. The ceremony matched Bogart's love of simplicity and honesty. A glass-enclosed model of his cherished yacht, Santana, stood at the pulpit's rail, while his body underwent cremation at Forest Lawn during the service. Hollywood's finest gathered to pay respects. Spencer Tracy chose a back-row seat. Joan Blondell rushed in from 20th Fox with her makeup still on. Dick Powell, Errol Flynn, and Gary Cooper joined among other members of the old Warner's gang. Bogart's close friend and collaborator, director John Huston, delivered what Variety called a moving, frank, and well-worded eulogy. No one who sat in his presence during the final weeks would ever forget his display of sheer animal courage, Huston told the mourners. As Bogart was brave, his wife was gallant. He gave no thought to death, and she knew it was there. Out of the power of her love, she was able to hide her grief. Huston concluded with prophetic words. "We have no reason to feel any sorrow for him, only for ourselves for having lost him. He is quite irreplaceable. There will never be another like him." Couple marries and starts a family. Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall surprised many in Hollywood by exchanging vows on May 21, 1945, just weeks after Allied victory in Europe. The surprise wasn't the ceremony's grandeur but its location. They chose Malabar Farm, a 600-acre property in Lucas, Ohio. The farm belonged to Pulitzer Prize-winning author Louis Bromfield, one of Bogart's closest friends. The rural Midwestern wedding location came from a suggestion by Bromfield and his secretary George Hawkins. Their busy filming schedules left only a 2-day window to prepare and hold the ceremony. Judge Herbert S. Shetler helped by waiving the usual 5-day waiting period for their marriage license. Bacall looked elegant in a simple 2-piece belted doeskin suit with a dark scarf and white orchid corsage. Bogart wore a gray flannel suit, dark tie, and white gardenia in his buttonhole. The couple exchanged vows in the big house entryway between 2 staircases. Bromfield's daughter Hope played the wedding march on a Steinway piano. Bacall later wrote about her nerves in her autobiography. "My knees were knocking together, my cheek was twitching. When I reached Bogie, he took my hand. The enormous, beautiful white orchids were shaking themselves to pieces." She noticed tears streaming down Bogart's face during the ceremony. The intimate ceremony included Malabar Farm staff and Bacall's mother. All hell broke loose with the press afterward. Photographers swarmed the property despite attempts to keep things private. The couple gave Life magazine photographer Ed Clark exclusive initial access to capture the moment. Bromfield gave the newlyweds a boxer puppy and 1 acre of Malabar farm land as wedding gifts, though they never built anything there. The couple headed back to California the next day to meet their film commitments. This marriage lasted, unlike Bogart's previous marriages to actresses. Before the wedding, Bogart laid out his expectations clearly. "If you want a career more than anything, I will do everything I can to help you and I will send you on your way, but I will not marry you. I've been through it and I know it doesn't work." Bacall, just 20 years old to Bogart's 45, agreed to prioritize their marriage over her career. She was determined to have children with him. "I really wanted Bogart to have children. I don't know whether he wanted them or not, but he was going to have them. I made up my mind," she later recalled with a laugh. The couple welcomed their first child, Stephen Humphrey Bogart, on January 6, 1949. Bogart became a first-time father at 46, while Bacall was 24. They named their son after Bogart's character in To Have and Have Not, the film where they first met. Their daughter Leslie Howard Bogart arrived on August 23, 1952, named after actor Leslie Howard. Bacall remembered this time fondly. "Whenever I think of the word happy now, I think of then." Bogart spent limited time with his children. Stephen and Leslie were only 8 and 4 when he died on January 14, 1957. Stephen later shared that he never truly knew his famous father and believed his father never really got to know him or his sister. Bogart explained his decision to start a family later in life in a documentary. "I wanted a child to stay with her and remind her of me." These words became especially meaningful since he died while his children were still young. Bacall became a widow at 32 and faced raising 2 young children alone. Stephen later reflected, "I'm not convinced she wouldn't rather have spread her wings instead of having to look after 2 kids. She didn't do badly by us, that's not what I'm saying, but psychologically it was tough for her." Bogart's health begins to decline. Bogart's health started showing warning signs in the mid-1950s when he was in his late 50s. Small symptoms that seemed minor at first turned into a devastating diagnosis that would change everything for the Hollywood icon and his young family. Bogart developed what seemed like a simple cough in early 1956 while filming The Harder They Fall. British actress Greer Garson's dinner party became the turning point when his condition became impossible to ignore. She noticed something about Bogart's health that others had missed. "You need to see someone about that cough," she told him after watching his discomfort through the evening. Garson's words pushed Bogart to get medical help, and this decision proved vital in discovering his condition. Bogart didn't want to accept any serious health issues at first. He blamed his symptoms on his heavy smoking. He smoked up to 3 packs of cigarettes every day throughout his adult life. His throat would burn whenever he drank orange juice, which was another warning sign he kept ignoring. Several physicians ran tests after Bogart took Garson's advice. He struggled to swallow, had constant throat pain, and lost weight unexpectedly. Doctors hoped these symptoms might just show an inflamed esophagus that treatment could fix. The test results painted a darker picture. A full evaluation showed irregular cells in his esophageal tissue. The news hit hard. Bogart had esophageal cancer, an aggressive disease with few treatment options back then. This devastating news shocked both Bogart and Bacall. The situation looked grim for the 57-year-old father of 2 young children, Stephen, who was 7, and Leslie, only 4. His doctors stressed that his condition needed immediate treatment. Bogart managed to keep his trademark stoicism even as his health got worse. He tried to protect his family from knowing how bad things really were. "This can't beat me," he told his doctors, showing the same grit that made him famous on screen. Bacall stood right beside him through it all. She went with him to every medical appointment and worked hard to keep things normal for their kids. They decided to tell their close friends about the diagnosis, but protected their young children from knowing everything. The cancer spread by a lot as 1956 came to an end. People noticed Bogart losing weight, and his famous raspy voice became even rougher. His doctors suggested an aggressive plan, major surgery to remove parts of his esophagus to stop the cancer from spreading. His Hollywood friends rallied around the couple as word about his illness spread. All the same, only their closest friends knew just how serious things had become or how fast his health would keep getting worse in the months ahead. Doctors performed risky surgery on Bogart. Humphrey Bogart checked into Good Samaritan Hospital in Los Angeles on February 29, 1956. This hospital stay would turn into one of his life's most challenging medical battles. His doctors diagnosed him with esophageal cancer and knew they needed to act fast to save the Hollywood legend's life. Doctors performed a grueling Ivor Lewis esophagectomy on March 1. This complex procedure was just 11 years old at the time. The surgery lasted 9 hours, though some sources say it went on for 9.5 hours. The surgical team worked with precision through this marathon session to remove Bogart's cancerous esophagus and rebuild his digestive tract. The surgical team removed his cancerous esophagus, 2 lymph nodes, and even a rib. They pulled off an impressive feat of surgical reconstruction when they moved his stomach to connect it with what remained of his esophagus. This modified approach created a new path for food to travel from his throat to his stomach. Bogart's condition looked critical after he woke up from anesthesia. His arm and hand had ballooned to 4 times their usual size. The doctors had placed what Bacall called a terrible black thing in his mouth so he wouldn't swallow his tongue during recovery. The surgery seemed successful at first. Bogart put on some weight. This improvement didn't last long. Cancer returned within 6 months, and he needed radiation therapy. November 1956 brought another challenge. Bogart needed a second surgery because scar tissue in his throat was pressing on his nerves. Sadly, this operation couldn't stop his disease from getting worse. Lauren Bacall's description of seeing her husband after surgery shows how deeply his changed appearance affected her. She found him unrecognizable in his hospital bed. He looked so unlike Boji, still mercifully unconscious, enclosed in another world protected not by me, but by those raised bedsides with those bottles and tubes sustaining life, she wrote in her autobiography. Seeing her once strong husband so vulnerable made her question human endurance. How could a body take that much? She wondered as she looked at all those tubes, those bottles. Her pain comes through clearly when she asks, what was the body under the blanket like? Bacall took charge of visitor management as Bogart grew weaker. Their home used to buzz with social activity and frequent guests. She set up strict rules about visitors because his appearance had changed so much during treatment. People who hadn't seen Bogart recently often couldn't hide their shock. Bacall remembered one friend who gasped when entering the room. She couldn't help it, Bacall said, understanding that her friend was so shocked at the sight of that figure in the bed. Bacall managed to keep her strength while watching her husband suffer. Her detailed memories of this time, which she later shared in her autobiography, show both the physical reality of Bogart's decline and how it emotionally affected those closest to him.